Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and welcome to the March 20th regular meeting of council. The city of Parksville recognizes the people of the Coast Salish Nations and their traditional territory, upon which we gather with gratitude. For the consent agenda for today's meeting, the minutes of the council meeting held March 6, 2023, includes the minutes of the special council meeting held March 15th, 2023, as well as the approval of the council meeting agenda. Do I have them? Thank you. Thank you. I have the ability to speak a little louder. Okay. Picking up from there. Do I have a mover and a seconder for the recommendation that the consent agenda, including the following recommendations, be approved? That the minutes of the council meeting held March 6, 2023 be adopted. That the minutes of the special council meeting held March 15th, 2023 be adopted. That the March 20th, 2023 council meeting agenda be approved. I have a mover, Councillor Wood, seconded by Councillor Beal. Any errors or omissions? Further discussion? I'm just watching. I'm looking at a monitor in front of me. Here, folks. Councillor Fraz is on Zoom, so I'm watching down here. There's a bit of a delay sometimes. All those in favor? That's unanimous. Thank you. Today, we have a delegation. The delegation today is from the Parksville Downtown Business Association, PDBA, 2022 annual report and 2023 budget. A presentation by T. Cooper, PDBA Executive Director, to present their 2022 financial statements, 2022 annual report, and 2023 budget, and to request a 25% advance of levy funding as per bylaw number 1556. You have 10 minutes for your presentation. Thank you. And it looks like I see Michelle Jones is also presenting at this time. That's fine. Welcome. You have 10 minutes for your presentation. Thank you so much.
Or not. Oh, there it is.
And if I request, Michelle, if you lean in towards it, then the audience in the back rows will hear you as well. Thank you.
Exciting to have such a big crowd here today to hear about the Parksville Downtown Business Association. We're excited too.
Good job.
So as you're aware, most of you were at our AGM a couple of weeks ago, but as part of our bylaw, we're required to come and present to council our budget for 2023, as well as our financial statements from 2022. And I just wanted to highlight a couple of things from our financial statements and bring it out so that everybody knows. The levy that is received for the Parksville Downtown Business Association is from the property owners and the businesses. The city does not contribute to that levy at all. So it's our money and we're spending it. And since 2007, we have spent $2.4 million in the downtown core to market, beautify, clean up, and do the wayfinding project. So I think that's exciting news, and we're hopefully going to continue doing it for the next 15 years. For our budget for 2023, we're continuing on substantially in the same mode as before, but I'll leave that for questions later. But right now, I just wanted to introduce Teresa Cooper, who is our new executive director. She started in February, and she's excited to be in Parksville Downtown. And I just wanted to give her a chance to say a little bit about how excited she is to be here. And then we can open it up for questions if anybody has any. Thank you.
Thanks, Michelle.
Good afternoon, Your Worship. Thank you for including me in the presentation today. My name is Teresa Cooper, and I've had the pleasure of being the executive director for the PDBA for 5 weeks. In this short time, however, it's become clear how important partnership and collaboration will be in building on the success of the past and moving forward into the future. We've met with Deb Tardiff, your manager of communications, to explore areas where the city and PDBA can work together to enhance the vibrancy of the downtown core. We are pleased to welcome your worship and several councillors to our AGM. I look forward to getting to know all of you and working closely with you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Goober. Council, is there any questions for the PDBA members while they're here in front of us? Councillor Beal.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, and through to Michelle Jones and the PDBA. I'd actually just like to say thank you very much for that wonderful AGM that we were invited to. It was very informative. It was great to have a chance to meet some of the other members, both of the actual, like the executive and so on, but also just general membership from the downtown business area, and to look at the financials and understand a little bit about the particular challenges or wishes and, you know, vision going forward. So keep up the good work, and thank you again. It was a really great evening.
Thank you. Any further questions? Councillor Geller.
Thank you, Mayor. So just to the delegation, is there more to this presentation, or is this the time to ask questions now?
It's time. You
Okay,
can ask
thank
questions
you.
right now. Go ahead.
So, yeah, so you mentioned you would like this to continue further. I understand this bylaw is only up to 2024. And this council is very eager to revitalize our downtown, so we would like to support PDBA in your efforts. So if you could speak to extending this beyond 2024, please.
So under, I think it's the Local Government Act, maybe Municipal Act, one of the acts, the longest that a mandate for a BIA can run is 5 years. So we have a renewal every 5 years. So 2024 is our next renewal. And we will start that probably next January. We'll start the renewal process. And it's actually the way we've been doing it. It's a city-led process for the renewal. And it's a what they call the counter petition process.
Right.
So hopefully we will continue with that.
Satisfied? Follow up. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. So what are some of the things, maybe to you or the other speaker, Teresa here, is important that you would like to see as part of the revitalization in downtown? I see some of the points that you mentioned is like public art, murals, better seating areas. So is there in the next year or so in the near future, will we be able to see any tangible changes in the revitalization process?
So we may or may not. We have, as you were at our meeting, we have 6 new board members. So there's 11 on the board, and we will start working towards our work plan for this year. At the meeting, you'll notice that the 2 main issues that came up were security and parking. So if we can make progress on one or both of those, we'll feel like we've made a big dent in it. But those are the 2 main things that our membership is looking for this year. I mean, we'll do the nice things, we'll do the advertising, we'll do the, you know, some events or something like that. But parking and security are the 2 issues that our membership is really wanting us to make movement on this year.
Councillor Beal.
Thank you. And actually through to the mayor, I'm just wondering, you know, we have this delegation, but there is also a recommendation following. So out of that, are you going to be, is that something over to you for the recommendation, or do we need a motion right now to release the funds, or what do we need to do?
We're just taking questions for the delegation at this particular point. When I ask for a mover and a seconder for the recommendation, once I get that, we'll put it on the floor. If you want to discuss further at that time, I'll make sure that we leave space for that too. Yeah, thank you. Councillor Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As a new council member and a new liaison for this wonderful association, I want to say that I will work diligently on those 2 things. And I'm a persistent person, so I will on your behalf. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Any further general questions for the delegation? Councillor Krenz.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you to our delegation today for appearing for us. I would ask that maybe just for the sake of the public to hear a little bit more about the two priorities for the PDBA. If you can give a quick summary of the parking and security issues as the association currently sees it. Cole's notes is fine. I know these are both complicated issues, but would love to have a little bit of a perspective from you on that.
Cole's notes, there's a lack of parking in the downtown core. In the last year, there have been, I'm going to say 4 or 5 public parking lots that have been closed. And there's been no replacement for those lots. And it's not that they were real parking lots, they were just used as parking lots. And those properties are now being developed. So there is a real shortage of parking in the downtown core and around the edges. And as far as security goes, I think we all know that security is an issue. We have the homeless camping in doorways and doing other things in doorways that they shouldn't be doing. We have, people camping in Memorial Plaza. We have all kinds of security issues. And at our AGM, we had the RCMP, the bylaw officer, and the Campbell River Downtown Business Association, who has a security program that they've put in place with their city. And the city helps to pay for that. So those are some of the things we're going to explore, some sort of a security thing there. We don't know if we can make it work, but that's one of the things that we definitely need to do is make it so that our businesses feel safe going home at night, and their businesses are going to be there when they come back. And then when they come back in the morning, that they're not being surprised per se. So those are the two things.
Thank you. No more general questions. I'll move on to the recommendations. Do I have a mover and seconder for the recommendation that the Parksville Downtown Business Association 2022 annual report and financial statements be received? That the Parksville Downtown Business Association 2023 budget be approved? That staff be authorized to advance 25% of the levy funding to the Parksville Downtown Business Association as per Downtown Business Association Improvement Area Establishment Bylaw 2019, number 1556. I need a mover for that. That'd be moved by Councillor Martin, seconded by Councillor Grenz. Further discussion? It's your time. Okay. I see no further discussion at this time. All those in favor? Unanimous. Thank you so much for your presentation. I'm surprised the crowd's not leaving now that you finished. What happened? Thank you once again. Council, today we have 2 pieces of correspondence on the agenda today. First piece of correspondence is from the Oceanside Community Track Society financial assistance request. It's in your background information. Do I have a mover and a seconder for the recommendation that the correspondence from R.E. Young, president of the Oceanside Community Track Society, received March 9th, 2023, regarding a request for financial support for the Oceanside Community Track be received? Part 2. That consideration of the request for financial support for the Oceanside Community Track be deferred to budget deliberations. I have a mover for that report. It'll be Councillor Gore, moved by, seconded by Councillor Beal. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call, oh, sorry, Councillor Gore. You
Just
started
one
it
quick
now.
comment. Let's build that track. Thank you.
Sorry.
That was too quick.
It was so quick, I missed it. Try again.
Thank you. I was just saying, let's build that track. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Gore. Councillor Beal.
I second that comment, but no, I do look forward to seeing some harder numbers or closer to where we're at. And it's nice to see that that will be coming fairly soon. And I think at that point, hopefully that then we can really see what the buy-in is from various stakeholders and that we can really move on this.
And I can confirm that the Oceanside Community Tract Holders Committee is meeting this week. So we'll get that information very quickly now. Thank you for that. We moved, we seconded. All those, did you have a question, Councilor Grant?
One more quick comment, if I may, Mr. Mayor. I'd also like to note that the Oceanside Community Track Society AGM is also happening this week on Wednesday at 6:30. And members of the public are invited to join the society to help support this initiative, both the actual construction of the track, but also supporting the track once it is constructed.
Thank you. Do you know
That
the-
is via Zoom. So check out the website, oceansidecommunitytrack.com for more information.
Thanks for that information, Councilor Grant. Councilor Fraz.
Thank you. And through you, the staff, I'm wondering if we can get an update on how much money is already being committed from the city to the track.
At this time, the city of Parksville has already committed $250,000 to the Oceanside Community Tract from a previous request.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous, thank you. The next piece of correspondence on the agenda today is a letter of support from Mayor O'Brien for the Parksville Beach Festival. Do I have a mover and seconder for the recommendation that the copy of the letter dated March 17th, 2023 from Mayor O'Brien to the Parksville Beach Festival, expressing the city's support for the Beach Festival annual events, including the Rock the Park concert event, be received for information? I need a mover and seconder. Moved by Councilor Grenz, seconded by Councilor Gore. Any discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous, thank you. Next, we have under reports, we have Councilor Beal and Goer. Could you please give us a background on the issue regarding the spring 2023 grant and aid applications? The grant and aid applications, the recommendations, financial allocations at this time. Let's move it open first, or do you want to discuss first? Councilor Gore.
Thank you, Mayor. It was after the budget meeting last Wednesday that the select committee for the granting aid, Councilor Beal and myself, we met and went over the requests of the different societies and organizations in the Oceanside area for grants. We tried really hard to kind of provide funds to all the organizations that had asked for, and they're physically located in Parksville or serving the area of Parksville. This again, I will put my request again that the council look at increasing the amount in the granting aid, sitting at about 5,000 now, because we have a lot of organizations looking for support when we have seen increasing costs of everything. So these societies are looking for support. So with increased funds, hopefully we can support more organizations. We have given some money, as you can see, to Big Brother, Big Sister of Central Vancouver Island, Forward House Community Society.
If you could actually call out the amounts as well.
Sorry.
I'll let you do the whole thing. You can save me some work here. Thank you.
So the Big Brothers, Big Sisters of Central Vancouver Island, $100. Forward House Community Society, $300. Oceanside Classical Concert Society, $500. Oceanside Community Makerspace Society, $750. Parksville and District Historical Society, the museum, $250. Parksville Community Garden Society, $500. And the Parksville Curling Club, $100.
Seems to me that you used the entire 2,500.
I did. Thank you.
Very quick addition there. Good job. Councillor Beal.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I'd just like to add a couple of very brief words. First of all, it's a really tough decision to make. All of these organizations are great community focused organizations. The final amounts that are awarded are not what the requests were for specific projects. So very tough decisions. And I just hope that those who didn't meet their funding targets for their projects will also be able to explore other funding avenues. So I just wanted to add that. Great organizations, every one of them. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Councillor Beal. Do I have a mover and seconder for the recommendation that the report from the Grant and Aid Select Committee dated March 10th, 2023, entitled Spring 2023 Grant and Aid Applications be received? In part 2, that $2,500 be allocated from the 2023 Grants and Aid budget for applications received for the period ending March 1st, 2023, as listed by Councillor Gore. I have a mover and a seconder. Councillor Beal moves, Councillor Wood seconds. Any further discussion? Councillor Martin.
Mr. Mayor, I think what they're talking about with this extra funds is a wise thing to look at for future, because the cost of everything's going up and these societies have the same expenses as we do. So I didn't get a chance to mention that earlier. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Martin. And I know it's been deferred into our budget negotiations and meetings that we're having ongoing right now. So we'll make sure that that is included as a point of discussion at that time. Thank you. Councillor Grant.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I do have a quick question for the two councillors. First of all, thank you very much for your diligent work in the task of thinking through how to allocate these limited funds in our community, and important that we do that. I do have a question in terms of how the decision-making is done, if there are terms of references around that guided that, or in particular, I'm wondering whether priority is given to organizations that don't have charitable status, and then they don't have that method of getting funds without, if they can't issue a tax receipt, then this is a better opportunity for societies that don't have charitable status. That's my first question. And then second question, more of the thought is, I hope that we can look at also providing opportunities for applications for school and sports and other extracurricular activities where they have to travel in order to participate in competitions elsewhere in the province, and whether we might be able to expand the grant and aid program to also allow for grant opportunities for students who are looking to take advantage of those opportunities.
Thank you for that, Councillor Grant. I'll ask the two representatives for the Spring Grant and Aid to perhaps address part of that. The other discussion regarding expanding the scope of the grant and aid programs, I think that would be a better discussion to ask for a staff report to suggest the following if we can look at it. And then maybe also timely to do that at the same time we do the looking at the increase in the budget line item. I think that would be a good time to have it, and then we know what we're dealing with, if that's okay. And then as far as that, and Councillor Beal, if you'd like to touch on the other deciding strategies you used.
Thank you. There were no coin tosses involved. I will tell you that, okay? What I will say, though, is that it is a tough job. Understanding that these applications are for specific projects. So these are something that it's not their general operations or their general, lay of the land, as it were. We look at a number of things. We do a review, that they've got financial things in order and the like, but we also look at, have they received, is this a first time application perhaps? What is the nature of the project? Some of these got a little bit more, but at the same time, the project is such that it's sort of one and done. You know, it's not something that's going to be a recurring request. So we really try to weigh them all out, looking at, again, you know, what's the benefit. All of them have great benefits, and they're all organizations that have shown themselves to contribute to the health of our community and to the individuals. But again, going back to, for instance, with the community garden, some of that has to do with a section of fencing that needs to be done. Now, it's not going to cover all of it, but it's also that once that is something in place, it's obviously going to be very important for the security and so on of the garden, but also it's not something that they're going to need to ask for going forward. So those are some of the things that we do look at. And I will just mention very briefly your thought about expanding it. I know that coming from a background in education, that schools and extracurricular projects may qualify for the what do you call it, gaming grants, which schools apply for every year. So that I think that may be one of the reasons that we don't tend to see that, although that so everything from sports organizations, children's after school activities, things that take place within the school, all of the schools, they can apply for grants in aid. That program has changed a little bit in the past couple of years, but it can be a significant help for particular projects. So I just kind of add that in. I hope that it answers some of your questions.
Thank you. And I'll look to further comment to our CAO, Ms. Kaler.
Thank you. Through the mayor, just wanted to let council know we have a fairly comprehensive policy, council approved policy. It's policy 3.26. So if folks want to take a look. Okay. If folks want to take a look at that, it's got a lot of information about who is eligible. At the moment, it has to be a registered charity, but it doesn't say that they could not apply for things like travel assistance. It just has to be prior to the event taking place. But council may want to look at what is not working with that policy. It's like 3 pages long, so it's a lot of information in there.
Thank you. So we'll refer to the policy to see if the policy itself may need some adjustments. Thank you, council. Okay. Actually, I saw you on there. Councillor Frass.
Yeah, thank you. And through the mayor to council there, just wanted to remind everyone too that our primary grant and aid process is also done through the RDN. We have both community grants and recreation grants that we participate in. And some of that funding is upwards of $75,000 there for the region. We pay directly into that too. So for ideas like the recreation sport teams and that, I think it's, we don't have to reinvent the wheel here. It's already set up and established. I think if we direct people through that process, it's already streamlined and functioning very well. We participate and pay into that directly. So I think we've already adjusted our grant and aid program here in Parksville and reduced the amount based on how much we contribute at a regional level.
Thank you for that, Council Frass. And I can also confirm regarding the RDN grant process, Councillor and Director Wood here has already put a list together of grant opportunities through the RDN, and has put a list together so that we can better inform our community of what they may qualify for. And he'll be working on a process as to making sure that happens. Is that correct, Councillor Director Wood? Thank you, sir. So we're in the process of making sure that we leave no stone unturned for our communities. Thank you. Any further question? Thank you very much. We moved, we seconded, we'll call the vote. All those in favor? Unanimous. Thank you, council. We have one more report here. Ms. Pocock, Emergency Program Coordinator, could you please give us a background on the issue regarding 2023 UBCM Community Emergency Preparedness Fund Emergency Operations Center grant application, to seek council support for a grant application to fund an EOC training program focusing on power outages following a severe wind event for the city of Parksville and town of Qualicum Beach emergency program. Ms. Pocock.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor and Council. My name is Kate Pocock and I am the Emergency Program Coordinator for the City of Parksville. I've been in this position for approximately 6 months. Under the Emergency Program Act, a local government must prepare or cause to be prepared local emergency plans respecting the preparation for, response to, and recovery from emergencies and disasters. The Local Authority Emergency Management Regulation further states that the local authority must establish and maintain for all emergency response staff to whom responsibilities are assigned in the plan, a program of emergency response exercises and a training program. Emergency Management Oceanside, a successful partnership between the City of Parksville, Town of Qualicum Beach, and the Regional District of Nanaimo, provides effective and efficient emergency management to the area covered by School District 69. In the event of a large-scale emergency or disaster, emergency plans assume local authorities are able to operate a joint emergency operations center, an EOC, with a combination of personnel from either local authority. Although staff complete individual training courses and exercise within their respective local authority, there has been limited intergovernmental training in emergency operations activities. Staff propose a cooperative approach to emergency management training and exercise to begin to develop a flexible and adaptable emergency operations center response and recovery process. Recommendations are as contained in the report to council, and I am happy to answer any questions the council may have.
Thank you, Ms. Pocock, for your presentation, and just backing up a little bit. The program in Oceanside, the emergency operations, is very well respected and received throughout the rest of British Columbia. To look at, you're setting a very high standard for the rest of British Columbia to follow. And I appreciate the efforts that you put into it because you've done a really great job. By the looks of this grant application, you're looking to even further your emergency preparedness, which is certainly appreciated by your community. So thank you so much for everything you do. Questions from the floor, please. Councillor Gore.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll start off with one question. Staff, sorry, I didn't catch your name, but are you the designated individual for the city of Parksville to declare emergency when we have extreme weather situations like cold weather, like we had this winter?
As the emergency program coordinator, I am one of the people eligible to declare extreme weather conditions. Those conditions that you're referring to in terms of the cold weather, they're specific guidelines that are set by the provincial government, but it would be me or the CAO or another designate that would be able to use those specifications. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. The reason I asked that question was, there was public frustration and also frustration on part of the council looking at the province, the medical health officer, like who's the one who's supposed to make the call here. So it's good to know that we have somebody in-house who does that. My second question relevant to this item is, has there been any consultations with the 2 First Nations in the area? Will they be participating in this? Because I think that's very important to have them on board.
With this exercise program, no, there hasn't been. This is purely a town of Qualicum, City of Parksville. In terms of the emergency program as a larger being, yes, there is involvement from local First Nations governments as well as the regional district and also the District of Lanceville as well.
Thank you. And we also have a comment by CAO Kaler as well.
Thank you. Is this microphone working?
Not very well.
Thank you. I just wanted
you.
to clarify the question that Councillor Gore asked. In order for the city to have that designated person, we actually have to have a plan. And as we've talked about in this most recent winter, the city of Parksville does not have an extreme weather response plan. So at this time, even though we would be eligible to be designated to make that call, we currently do not have that in place for the city of Parksville. So just want to clarify that point because I think that's pretty important to understand. stay here for a second.
Thank you. Maybe just stay a moment. Yeah, Councillor Gore.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, CAO. If I may follow up, what will it take for us to come up with a plan? So we are not scrambling last minute to do something for the vulnerable people, or just have something in place.
So typically what happens is a plan must be approved by September of the calendar year, and we have to work with BC Housing. So BC Housing actually puts out a call for operators of the social services that are needed or identified in the community. And then the city's role differs depending on the location, but typically the city approves the location by confirming that the fire occupancy is correct, that the safety items in the building are dealt with. And then even though it's not necessarily required, usually the city would confirm the zoning regulations as well. And so depending on the city's capacity, most cities are not really involved beyond that. And the designated person is almost always, in our experience, it's a nonprofit person who is operating the facility, which cuts out a little bit of back and forth. Like it basically just, the city staff don't have to be a kind of a third step in the process. So we would have to work with BC Housing. BC Housing would identify suitable operators that can meet the requirements. It's quite extensive, the requirements, and you have to make sure that you're providing shelter for all different kinds of groups of people and things like that. So I think that BC Housing has come in the past and spoken to council about these kinds of things, but it's really a provincially led initiative, and the city participates in the manner that I just explained.
Thank you. And just to further on that, Councillor Gore, the declaring a cold weather emergency is a rather onerous situation, because you'd have to have someone 24 hours a day, 365 days a week on staff, on call, ready to call that in the event that it happens. So for the city of Parksville to have that implemented as well, it seems rather overkill, whereby we have mentioned the clumsiness of that whole plan motion. It should actually, instead of putting City Parksville in between and a third party which delays that declaration being made, that as CAO Kaler has made, that they entrust that information to the provider, at which case that they can actually declare it based on the climate conditions at their location. So it's we can be the designate, but it's really a difficult position to put us in, because we don't have the staff working 24 hours a day and so forth. And so further discussions are going on with BC Housing to make sure that maybe they can streamline that process to make sure it happens in a timely manner, instead of relying for somebody that may not be at home or may be otherwise occupied. Thank you. That's all. Thank you, CAO Gaylor. Thank you. Any further questions? I don't know if you're pointing at Adam or yeah, Councillor Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is very helpful. And I wanted to ask you, will there be staff that can implement this, or do we have to get outside people to handle this, or is it going to be handled by the staff only? Thank you.
If I may, through the mayor, the project itself would be run through a private contractor who would not only plan the exercises, the drills and the workshops, but also then facilitate the workshops and report to us with an analysis of how well we performed and improvements for the future.
Sounds like a great program. I wish you success on the grant application. Council, do I have a mover and seconder for the recommendation? That the report from the Emergency Program Coordinator dated March 8th, 2023, entitled 2023 UBCM Community Emergency Preparedness Fund Emergency Operations Center Grant application be received. That a grant application in the amount of $34,040 be submitted to the Union of BC Municipalities Community Emergency Preparedness Fund to provide an emergency operations center training program, and that a comma would be nice here, and and that the city of Parksville agrees to apply for, receive and manage the grant funding on behalf of a partnership between the city of Parksville and town of Qualicum Beach emergency programs. Moved by Councillor Martin, seconded by Councillor Grant. Further discussion. Councillor Grant.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a quick comment that it's great to see the collaboration between Parksville and Qualicum Beach on this issue. This past weekend, Parksville and Qualicum Beach councillors, some of us were able to participate in a different kind of collaboration on the curling ice. And it's great to see efficiencies be found for our tax-paying base here by having a coordinated application here on this. So just wanted to give a shout out on that.
Thank you. Any further questions? All those in favor? Unanimous. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Pocock, for your presentation. Another report from Ms. Weeks, Manager of Administrative Services. Could you please give us a background on the issue regarding 2023 to 2025 Community Park Mobile Food Services? Consideration of proposals to provide mobile food concession services in the Parksville Community Park for 2023 to 2025 summer seasons. Ms.
Thank you.
Weeks.
At the December 19th council meeting, staff were authorized to issue a request for proposals for the 2 existing mobile food vending pads in the community park for a 3-year term effective during the summer months from 2023 to 2025, with an option to renew for a further 2 years. One proposal was received. The Chamber of Commerce and its associated vendors have held the contract for the occupation of the mobile food vending pads since 2015, and the recommendations per the council agenda.
Thank you, Ms. Weeks. Questions? Do I have a mover and seconder for the recommendation? Sorry, question? Oh, I have to read, yeah. I'll remember you. Do I have a mover and seconder for the recommendation that, point 1, that the report for the Manager of Administrative Services dated March 10th, 2023, entitled 2023-2025 Community Park Mobile Food Services be received? Point 2, that the Community Park Mobile Food Concession Service proposal received from the Parksville and District Chamber of Commerce, including a monthly pad rental bid of $7,000 plus applicable taxes for the rental of the 2 existing pads be accepted. Point 3, that the mayor and corporate officer execute the Community Park Mobile Food Concession License of Occupation Agreement on behalf of the city for the term 2023 to 2025, May 1 to August 31, with a 2-year option to renew at the city's discretion. Point 4, that the license of occupation agreement, including an option to extend the term to September 30th each year with the September rental rate and any additional conditions, to be negotiated between city staff and the Parksville and District Chamber of Commerce. Do I have a mover? Councillor Beal. And could I have a seconder as Councillor Wood? Any discussion? Councillor Gore.
Thank you, Mayor. Just perhaps, I don't know if our Chamber of Commerce liaison, Councillor Beal, or I see our Chamber President is also in attendance. But one question I have is, I know we have 2 pads that the Chamber will be renting. And these food truck vendors will be using those throughout the summer. I wonder how many in total, in terms of like how many different trucks would be using those pads, different food options that will be available for the public. And also if there was any priority given to local vendors in the Oceanside or Parksville area in using those.
Ms. Weeks, can you answer that question? Or would you like to refer back later or to Councillor Gore?
Yeah, I can find out for sure.
Okay, thank you. We take your question on advisement, Councillor Gore? Get back to you. Thank you. Councillor Beal.
Although I can't answer that question fully, I can say that with the chamber making the application, it does allow for some rotation of food trucks and some variety, which I imagine, well, in fact, I'm sure is a benefit both to our public, but also to those vendors. You know, if you happen to have, you know, heavens forbid, a particularly rainy July, for instance, and that there's really no people down in the park, and one food truck is stuck there because they've got that contract, then that makes for a really challenging situation for anyone running a business. So having that opportunity to rotate through and to provide some variety for people attending is a real bonus. And I applaud the chamber for coming up with that solution. As to who exactly will be there and when, I don't know that, but I guess we'll get that information anon.
Any further questions for Ms. Weeks? Seeing none. I call the question. All those in favor? Unanimous. Thank you so much, Ms. Weeks. Moving forward on bylaws, third reading. Part 1 for Plan Parksville Amendment Bylaw 2022, number 1492.6. For the map amendment to only the planned neighborhood designation at 1465 Greg Road. Part 2, Zoning and Development Amendment Bylaw 2022, number 2138, map and text amendment to Comprehensive Development CD 33 and 1465 Greg Road. I'll move this one myself. Do I have a seconder for the recommendation? Thank you. Moved by Mayor O'Brien, seconded by Director Wood, or your Councillor Wood at this table. Thank you. Thank you so much. So I will be fully supporting this. That's why I'm moving it. Good indication. I'll be fully supporting this application, this development proposal. This development proposal concept was created as a visionary plan to create a diverse mix of multi-use housing models, in particular, focusing on the middle income demographic, providing affordable, diverse housing options without age restrictions. This plan will offer condos and apartments, multi-unit, up-down housing, townhouses, fourplexes, low-income housing, and subsidized rentals. Parksville needs workforce housing. Many of our service industry work. Comments down, please. Many of our service industry workers cannot afford to live in Parksville and cannot continue to commute to Parksville from their homes located elsewhere. Who are these people that need housing? They're the healthcare workers that provide care for our community. They're the tradespeople that build and maintain our homes and buildings. They are the school board and library workers. They are the hospitality, restaurant, and coffee shop workers that we all partake of. They are the single parent families in our communities. They're the daycare workers that work at our daycare local operations. They're the firefighters, police, and paramedics of our community. The conceptual plans also provide space for a primary healthcare unit located on affordable land, which will attract doctors to our area. If we have the housing, if there's any further comments, then I'll start all over again and you get to listen to it all again. Your choice. Thank you. It will provide housing for the doctors in our area, as well as the medical office staff that they require as well. This is all part of a larger strategy from council to attract doctors and to have workers have housing at affordable rates in our community where they're working. If you build it, they will come. Imagine living in this new neighborhood with its diverse mix of housing types and adjacent to a dedicated 53-acre park with an improved and enhanced trail system, all designed by environmental specialists. The developers have offered an amenity contribution of over $1,000 per door that the city of Parksville will deposit in reserve fund for an Englishman River fish habitat restoration and enhancement project. That fund will be allocated to that for habitat improvement. The city staff have reviewed the entire plans to determine sustainability with existing service infrastructure. As well, council are aware of the proposed all-encompassing consultant-led water study of potable water supply and storage, which council is aware that we are now implementing with our strategic plan. Recommendations and solutions that will be commenced this year. Oh, yeah. So, sorry, and the water plan will have recommendations and solutions to be proposed, and it will happen this year, this report. The plan itself has been great. The building plan has been created with the district group that consulted with the city staff and council from day one to envision a housing solution in an environmentally sensitive area. This is not just another development. This project has been planned with a multitude of specialists involved, ensuring that the proposal is viable for a sustainable community. The housing situation is dire in Canada. Just today, the Canada announced their housing acceleration plan to release funding to encouraging housing, affordable housing for our communities that we have such a shortage of. So this is all part of it. We are grateful that we've come across a developer that's willing to help us with this housing issue. That is my point first. Next. Any further comments or questions? Oh, Councillor Wood, you seconded.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm thankful that we get to vote on this today. I appreciate all the public's patience going through this entire process. If you remember the beginning of this process, there was a motion to just, stop it early on. And I think that it's been very healthy for the community and for council to go through this entire process, including public hearing. The community has made it a simple decision for me to support the overwhelming opposition to this third reading with my no vote today.
Enough. Order, please. No applause or comments during the council deliberations. If you do, I will clear the gallery of everyone. So those people that are making loud noises, you better talk to your neighbors, because I don't think that they want to be left outside. So contain yourself, please.
After the hearing, I was quite paranoid about receiving new information. A couple of days after the hearing, our 9-year-old son, Eric, he was referring to this reblooming plant we have at our house. And he's like, do they just regrow? And I was at the table and I heard him say, do they just regrow? And all I heard was regrowed from my 9-year-old. I wanted to go through some of the audiences that are involved in this process. And, thinking back to the public hearing, Snanawas First Nation Councillor Chris Bob, this was the comment that impacted me personally the most during the hearing, because we need to do better consultation with First Nations, particularly Snanawas, particularly with OCP amendments, not the least of which when they're going to impact the Englishman River and its wildlife corridor. The community is the next audience that I have on my written comments here. According to some reports, the city had received 2,999 submissions about the proposal. Of those, 2,986 were opposed. It seems pretty clear what the public feels like on this issue. There were reportedly more than 3,000 area signatures collected opposed to the project, with 1,463 from Parksville city residents. Speaking for myself, I urge everyone in the community to at least email us if you're in support of something. I did speak to, a couple of people that were in support of it. But if you're in support of something, then email us and let us know. I can't just assume that you're out there and you're in support of something if you're not even going to take the time to email us. You know, the opposition obviously has more passion on this. And so those are the voices that are clearly heard by myself. On the note of opposing views, and we've even seen this during this meeting, I wanted to mention that being respectful when discussing whatever the issue is of utmost importance, to me. We can disagree without being disagreeable. So it's great that you applauded my decision, but at the same time, if you hear other voices that are different than yours, don't interrupt them, don't boo them during the hearing, don't do that. That takes away from your credibility. So please don't do that in anything moving forward. I do appreciate the applause, but this is not the time. Let people speak regardless of their opinion, just as you would like to be heard. We all have passion about certain things, and we all need to learn to steer that passion into respectful discussion. Boo and hiss at the news on TV at home, but please don't do it to people who have opposing views of your own while here in the council chambers. There, you've been scolded. You may be in the minority sometime, and you want people with views different than yours to allow you to speak uninterrupted. Moving on to the developer. While the location itself is definitely an issue, I feel District Group put forward a strong effort to listen to the public and adapt their plans to ease the concerns as much as possible. I have heard and seen actions of developers who don't care to listen to the concerns of the public, and District is not one of them. I don't feel like this file was an example of a developer not listening, but simply not the right location for the development. Water. Water came up as an issue before the election, during the election, and still comes up, both drinking water supply and Englishman River flow. I want to encourage the community that we know there are concerns, and as the mayor spoke to, we are working to address those concerns. Staff, thank you to staff for their work on the various stages of facilitating, collating thousands of comments, organizing the hearing, etc. It's not a small task. We are a small city. This is not a small task to organize all this. Council, finally, I want to thank council. We knew this was a significant file and we went through the process in its entirety, including the public hearing, and I believe it was a healthy, worthwhile process. I look forward to reflecting the voice of the community in my vote today. And I would encourage everyone to stay for the two motions following this vote because they're also very important. Thanks.
Councillor Beal.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And thank you, Councillor Wood, for your thoughtful words. And I do want to thank you, Mr. Mayor, for your comments about the need for housing and seeing that in our area. And although I don't know if any of the district group is here today, I actually, first of all, want to thank the district group for bringing forth this development proposal and also thank the many local and area residents who attended the public hearing or who wrote in to provide their input. The proposal garnered a lot of interest and engagement, which I find to be very, very positive. And I will say I did attempt to respond to, at least acknowledge, emails that I did receive regarding this. And if you did not receive one later, but I absolutely stopped seeing a little bit like you after. As soon as the public hearing ended, there was to be no more additional information. So if you sent me something that I received later than that, I just immediately either deleted it or moved it to my file without having a look at it, and you did not get a response. But please, otherwise I would certainly want to respond to people if at all possible. So there is much to applaud in the district group's concept for the property, the mix of housing, including rentals, public trails, and a vision that includes climate resiliency, conservation of green space and wetlands. In an earlier meeting, Councillor Frass said it made him think of areas in Whistler, and the concept also made me think of some areas of False Creek in Vancouver, which are particularly lovely even in the midst of the city. The proposed development, while it has many positive aspects, it also contains negatives. Both our OCP and policy number 2.20, no, I don't have that memorized, but I looked that up, include goals of encouraging land use policies that reduce sprawl, preserve open space, and create compact, walkable, bikeable communities. The location of this proposal flies in the face of these stated objectives. Promoting transportation options such as bicycle use, commuting trip reduction programs, and corridor transportation options are also stated objectives where economically feasible and appropriate to do so. Given that there is land within our city's core and existing residential areas that could be available for development or redevelopment, it does not seem prudent to support increased residential density on the outskirts of our city. It goes against my understanding of good urban planning. Additional concerns about this proposed development include the potential negative impact on the health of the river and the riparian zone, and the potential loss of floodwater storage. And that was something I learned more about, not just where it might flood, but the importance of other land around it to hold that water and release it slowly. As there is some debate about the extent of the floodwater predicted in the context of climate change, I believe it's best to take an extra cautious approach. And for all of these reasons, I will be voting no.
Councillor Grants.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So who would have guessed that Monday afternoon at 1 p.m., the hottest ticket in Parksville would be a council meeting. Similar hot ticket item was the public hearing that was held on February 13th, just over a month ago. I would like to thank my fellow councillors and Mr. Mayor for your thoughtful comments so far in this discussion. I'm looking forward to the comments from other councillors as well. I do know that everyone at this table takes every decision very seriously and does the research and homework required to make a decision that's in the best interest of the community, not just doing what is popular necessarily, but what we believe is in the best interests, the future of Parksville. There are people who do not write emails yet, they do not vote yet, but they will be living here. And we need to look out for their interest as well. I will echo Councillor Wood's scolding. We have a responsibility at this table. We take it seriously, I believe, to have respectful discussions. I also believe that we have a responsibility to seek the truth, because without truth, we are unable to make proper decisions. We are unable to make good decisions. We need to get the best possible information when we make our decisions. And for that, council relies on experts. Council relies on staff. We have very professional and diligent staff that we rely on. And we don't use facts to reach the conclusion that we want to reach. We use facts. We don't drive the conclusion. Let me back this up. We don't start with the conclusion and then put the facts in behind that. We start with the facts and let that lead us to our conclusion and our decision. So when I see misinformation spreading in the community around the developer, I'm very disappointed, because this does undermine any decision made by this community around development in our community. We are proud of Parksville's reputation as being a community where it's possible to make development happen. We all live in homes that were developed by an evil developer. And we see many projects coming to fruition right now that are going to help with the affordability crisis that we all face. When it comes to the Greig Road property, there is a reason why this is such a significant decision. People in our community want to ensure that a number of the benefits that this property provides are preserved. I'm going to take a water sip.
Go ahead.
We have folks in our community who appreciate the opportunity to walk the property and enjoy the healing benefits that nature provides. Others rely on the trails as a place to take their dogs. We also recognize that forests are medicine for mind, body, and soul. This property is the home to a number of animal and plant species and plays a healthy role in preserving our natural environment that we all live in. The Englishman River and its floodplain is a unique feature of this property. The river is part of the circulatory system of the land, bringing life to our animal, plant, and human relations, not the least of which is salmon. We must welcome Stenawis First Nation when considering the future of this vital waterway, floodplain, and estuary. In addition to the responsibility that the City of Parksville and the Regional District of Nanaimo has in this regard, I believe that the federal, provincial, and First Nations governments have a role to play, an increased role to play, in fact, in the vitality of this river. We all have a stake in this. Every level of government has a stake in this, and every level of government needs to come into play at this table. In fact, I might call upon the federal and provincial government to take a more active role in stewarding our waterways across the province. We all know that right now, Parksville is a growing community. Council's task is to steward that change, not with fear, not with worry, not with innuendo or blame, but with vision, empathy, and guided by the best possible information. Our project is to build a balanced community where people from all stages and walks of life can thrive. And I'd like to say I'm proud of Parksville. I'm proud that we are considered the most economically resilient municipality on Vancouver Island. I'm proud of our natural beauty, our forests, our beaches, and our wild animals. I'm proud of how active our community is. An engaged community is a strong community. I hope that this energy will continue to be focused on building a positive future for Parksville, Oceanside, Vancouver Island, and beyond. So I would like to thank the proponents of this project for the genuine effort that they put in to address the concerns of this community and incorporate the wishes that were spoken to by so many. I also want to give my deep appreciation to our staff who worked so diligently and professionally on this project. And I'd like to thank council for your thoughtful consideration. So there are many reasons why this meeting is such a hot ticket. It's because there's much at stake. But saying no to this project today is not the same as saying yes to all that people cherish about this Grieg Road property. Today, I will be voting against this motion in the hopes that all who have a stake in the future of this river and the river basin that sustains us all will put their energy towards a better future for this river and for all of us. Thank you.
Councillor Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, this is quite the presentation we've had so far. And I wanted to make mine short. So I really, my councillor partners have said, I would have to, in some ways, agree with them for sure. I think the electorate should be thankful that we all take this so seriously, because we do. You know, it's very serious. It's our future. And there's been a lot of effort put here. So I'd like to just read this to you. I would like to note that a term and effort done by district group and local citizens in regard to this rezoning application. Everyone has put their heart into this, for sure. Recognizing that this is private property, there are three things that concern me the most about this application. As you can see, I'm looking at this differently than my fellow councillors. An official map of what is floodplain and what isn't. I have seen two interpretations of the floodplain regarding this property. And that is confusing. My position is there should be no building allowed on floodplain, period. I believe that condos and apartments should be built closer to the downtown core where services are easily available and within walking distance for our citizens. The application calls for a 35-meter buffer zone between the buildings and the Englishman's River. I believe this is totally inadequate, and the buffer should be at least 100 meters. On this property, I would support a lower density development on non-floodplain land consisting of entry-level single-family homes duplexes, and fourplexes to help relieve the shortage of affordable housing in our community. As submitted, I cannot support the rezoning of this property. Thank you.
Councillor Gore.
Thank you, Mayor. And thank you to our council. I did prepare a speech, but I'm quite speechless after hearing all my councillors and very articulate in presenting their views. Yes, Councillor Wood, I did present the motion early on because I did a lot of homework on this file. I did a lot of studying, the impact of this project. So at that time, I was making a very informed decision when I brought that, but still I'm very happy that all of council, the public, got to get involved. Let us know where you stand. I want to start off with, again, the thanks to our public, the people of Parksville, who've been engaged in this file very early on, starting in 2020, when we had an open house. I would like to again echo the comments of my fellow councillors that we would like you to stay engaged, not only when it's about opposing any development or any projects, but also an advisory panel. Send us emails how we can serve you better, what you would like to see happen in the city, or what kind of developments would you like, rather than just coming out in numbers and opposing a development. That's just one part of engagement. To our staff, again, it's been a big file. It's been a long road for you guys to a lot of work for you folks on this file. A lot of questions from us back and forth. So I appreciate you engaging with us and providing us all the information we needed. I will not be supporting this application. I do not have my community support behind this. This project is being built on an ecologically sensitive lands on a floodplain or near a floodplain. And we have clear information, even from the ministers at the provincial level, that building on or near a floodplain is not a good practice. So to me, I'm not going to support that. The amendment to the OCP is not just changing it from single family to a planned neighborhood. To me, like Councillor Beal mentioned, it's changing the spirit of our OCP, where we want to see a balance of growth with access to nature, containing urban sprawl, and the small town feel that we all talk about. Hey, Parksville wants to stay a small town village. Like, look, this will not definitely be in the right direction. So this is against the spirit of our OCP. And especially when we know our OCP is coming up for revision. And it's important for this council that we revise this OCP. A project spanning over 10 years with no public input, I don't think it's responsible for me to move it forward. Security of drinking water, healthcare crisis. Yes, it may give housing to some of the healthcare workers, but 2,000 people will need more healthcare access, more doctors. So eventually, I think it's a burden on our already strained services and infrastructure. We looked at the traffic report. Well, it's only going to talk about the traffic coming on to the arterial road, the 19A. But what happens to the traffic? Where do all these cars go in our downtown when there's nowhere to park? Parking is a big issue now. So what will happen? It's for our decision. It's within our scope. I believe my scope to think for the future how this project will affect my city. The environmental report, it talks about what kind of species are there, how sensitive those lands are. It does not talk about what will the impact of the footprint of 2,000 people will be on the river, on these sensitive lands. That's beyond the scope of that report. But it's within my scope, I think, to foresee that, how will it affect those sensitive lands? How will it affect our river? There's so much more I wanted to say about this, but I will just end it here for now, that I will not be supporting. Thank you.
Councillor Fraz, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, thank you. through the mayor to council too. I appreciate hearing everyone's perspective and comments on this. I won't drag it on too much because I think all the main points are covered here. I'll just add that I think in this case, it's not just about getting this decision right as far as this amendment, but it's also about instilling confidence in the public that as we go through these process, that we are doing what is expected by listening to the community and showing that we're going to make the respectful choice in the end and the responsible choices. And we've seen that in council previously as well. I know the desperation that comes forward when people feel that they're going to lose something they love in their community. We saw it before when a pool was being proposed in the Springwood area. And the only way to actually make the right decision is to go through the process. And we saw before how people feel that can often lead to that it's already a done deal because we're going to go to the public hearing process. But it is very important that we go through the entire steps. And when I ran for council, my promise to the community was that I would be listening and responding to their voices, that with me at the table, they would have a vote at the table as well. And that's where my vote goes towards, is to be representative for our public. I don't believe they elected me because I know better than them. I believe they elected me so that I can represent them. And in hearing the public hearing, having the letters of opposition support and being able to weigh that out, it's the public that's going to be getting to vote at the table through me today.
Thank you. For the next go round, it would appear to be my turn again. So I hear the comments from all of council members, and I appreciate the fact that you are cognizant of the large force that came out of the public hearing. But what I am disappointed in is not respecting the fact that the previous council, as a strategic plan, put in a plan to create housing of all types, housing for all. Parksville has been discovered. We know that a single family dwelling now is $1 million in Parksville. That's unaffordable for many. We know that we can build multi-unit residences that come through, as evidence from right behind us here, that come through at half that price, at more of an affordable level. We're targeting the middle income people, not the people that are buying the $1 million single family dwellings. We're targeting those middle income people that are working in our community and providing them a place to live here in Parksville. This was our strategic plan in the last council, and we even touched on housing as this council had said that they were interested in providing housing. But it has to be housing that includes a diverse mix of housing that appeals to different levels. If we have a housing project, a developer that comes along and says they are looking at a piece of property that is zoned not quite correctly, but is a private piece of land. They came to us a number of years ago and said, what would you like to see on this property? We met with them. We said, we need housing. We need affordable housing. We need diverse housing. We need workers that could work here. I was at during the election campaign, I was right next door at Stanford Place and talking to the healthcare workers there. And I thought I was just there to talk about how the rest of the election campaigning, they said, we need housing we can afford here. If you're elected, give us housing we can afford here, because we live in Nanaimo and we can't afford the gas to commute back and forth to provide care to your community. I heard that part of my community. That's who I heard. They need housing so that they don't have to commute from Nanaimo. I heard from the Chamber of Commerce that said, we need workers in this community to support the many industries and hospitality industry and restaurants and everything else here. Our firefighters that need to live in this community so that they can be firefighters in our community need affordable housing. I heard from the police, the RCMP, telling us that RCMP, we're down probably two RCMP officers that we're trying to recruit to our area. They're in the budget, ready to go. It has been mentioned to us that the police officers that are coming out of academy will look to the area where they're thinking about living. They'll look to Parksville and say, we can't afford to live there. So they don't come. So we will be always short those police officers because they can't afford to live here. They will go to somewhere else they could live on. So that's what I heard. And I heard from our bylaw compliance officers that they too, we have some younger bylaw compliance officers right now, and I can tell you they're right in the middle income group. They can't afford to live here in Parksville and work in Parksville. If a job comes up in Nanaimo, they're gone because they can't afford to live here and they can't afford to commute back and forth with the price of gas. That's what I heard. I heard from all the hospitality industries. Our tourism is one of our biggest employers in Parksville. And they said our hospitality industry does not have sufficient workers to work in all the hospitality industry, be it the hotels, motels, be it the restaurants, the coffee shops that we all like to go to. They can't because they can't afford to live in Parksville. This housing proposal to me came at such an amazing time. And so I was thrilled. And so I'll take a water break too, Councilor. I was thrilled to have a developer to come in and consider doing the following. And when he proposed where it was going to be, I said, well, you know, it's private land, you know, so, but the problem is what happened is that the private landowner allowed public trespass on those lands. A worthwhile offer. However, once he did that, he let the public think that they own that land, that they have the right to trespass forever. Instead of being grateful for the amount of time that we've had to be able to walk through that area on private land, we are now saying to the developer or the owner of that land, no, you can't develop this land. We are obliged to allow any development on private land. We are obliged. Everyone has the right to propose development on the land that they own. That's where you live, in lands that were actually probably treed and filled with all sorts of critters and all sorts of good things. That's where you live if you're living in Parksville. They were developed out of forest land, I'm sure. So now we have the owner now having to say, if this doesn't go through, they have the perfect ability tomorrow to put a fence around his entire property, banning any further use. There will be no more dog walkers, nothing else. And they can put up what is currently zoned for. They could put up a cannabis farm. They could put up a number of things that are really not desirable, really not. They have that right to do so without asking for any rezoning or OCP amendment because it fits currently. So they have that ability to do that, folks. They really do. They also offered 53 acres of parkland right in the center of this development. The development is approximately 124 acres, 145 acres, 145 acres, 52 acres, the largest ever dedication offer of public land to the city of Parksville, 54 acres to ensure public availability. That's what they offered. Recently, we get a lot of heat for the development that's in Parksville. You know, obviously, of my position on densification of the downtown core, which is just one part of our housing strategy. But they say, what are you going to do? When are you going to get some doctors? When are you going to get some doctors? Well, not that it's really in our lane, but we have been talking about doctors and all the health services and so forth, and said, what is the impediment to attracting doctors to Parksville? You know what? When a doctor comes out of med school, they come with a pretty hefty loan that they have to pay back, and they cannot afford to locate in Parksville. They're looking in Parksville. I know of doctors that have tried, and we've tried to lure them along. They can't come here because they can't afford it. So this property would not only provide places for them to practice, by offering lower real estate costs for them to actually create a primary care center in this area, and also their workers that actually work with them as well. So for those people that want doctors, we just lost a major, major attraction if this does not go through. So just consider this as with everything else. We have enough for now for me. Let's move on to someone else. I'll go in the order that we started with. Councillor Bill.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I appreciate that we do need housing, particularly that is affordable. But by that, I actually believe that we need non-market housing. We need below market housing, and that's a kind of housing that will truly be affordable for people either starting out or people who are working in lower wage areas. And I know that Parksville has seen a lot of development in recent years. I do not think that the majority or even much of that has been that below market housing. So I think that's something for us all to consider when development applications do come forward. And I will say again that I was very impressed with District Group and what they did. I just think that unfortunately for them, this location is the wrong location. We need to look at, and I will use Councillor Gore's words, the spirit of that's reflected in our present OCP even, which is to maintain that smaller town feeling. Do we have land within, bounded by the river and towards our residential areas that could be developed or redeveloped? Yes, we do. It's just unfortunate for them that this location is, in my opinion, the wrong location for good urban planning going forward. So I will, but yes, we do need housing, something to work on.
Councillor Gore.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a few points. I heard both sides. I did not selectively hear people who were opposing it or supporting it. I did hear both sides, but I'm making my decision based on the information that I gathered on the file, the OCP, and the homework that I did. So that's why I'm opposed to this. But a few comments, Mr. Mayor, through to you. The public hasn't been trespassing on this property. This is an RDN designated trail that they're taking. The RDN is spending your money, taxpayers' money on maintaining those trails. So they have every right to be on those trails. Second, we are promoting this trail on our website. If you look at Parksville Qualicum tourism website, we are telling all the tourists to come and enjoy this nature walk on those trails. So we are benefiting as a city. Talking about affordable housing. Yes, this project talks about 100 affordable housing projects, but we have several in line, and which again, Councillor Beals, below market is what we need. Lion's proposal, the co-op housing projects, that's what I'm looking forward to. Even the doctors who graduate, we have this notion, these are rich people, doctors making money. Doctors graduating are very cash strapped. They are paying those heavy loans. They want to stay in those affordable below market housing. They cannot afford market housing either. Parksville needs housing. Parksville also needs to focus on quality of life. What do the people of Parksville value? They want to be here, or we bring in all these people, we have this growth, and people who've been here contributing feel connected to our community. They're like, this is not my city. This is not the town I moved into. I want to move, and we lose those valuable community members. I don't support that. I support balanced growth. So we know the area directors and the local Sonawas nations have been working hard to protect the lands along the river. Upstream to the river is being protected. Downstream is the estuary that's protected. This piecemeal work, this patchwork of development, it's very, very irresponsible to do that. It's a wildlife corridor. We've encroached enough on nature that we are pushing animals all the way to the side. This is also we as humanity needs to think, is this land shared with other species and animals, or is it just for us to live? Are we going to cohabit and share this land with other species? Or we are the masters and we live and other species live on our terms? This is something we need to think about.
Councillor Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I agree with many things you say. I know about the real estate. I was in a meeting one day and there was a doctor that couldn't find a house here and he went to Comox and bought at Cumberland or someplace. It was quite disturbing to hear, but I understand exactly what's going on. I know graduates out of dental school who came to Victoria where we lived and they had to go into CRD housing just to live because they had to pay off their bills. And that's real life. And that's not in our day and age, but that's happened in the past. So I agree. I also agree with private land. I agree that something that people own is their right within our society to do what is right for them because they own it. They pay our taxes. They pay our bills. We all do that. That's part of what we do. I didn't give it the details about what I think. I think district group, you can't give them enough, hands-on. They were excellent. They did an excellent job here. I envision myself, when I mentioned what I said, using some of this land for housing, but in a moderate way, not 800 homes, not high-rise, I didn't get all the details in here about what I've envisioned, not in a floodplain, not near the river. The river is a sacred place. I've been on this river for my family over 100 years, so I know exactly about Englishman's River. I've been protecting it all my life with people who wanted to take the trees down on our property on Englishman's River, et cetera, et cetera. So it goes on. So I'm very much to see that something can be done because I'm a win-win person. I'm not a them and us. I do believe that there has to be a solution here because this is private land and something can be done unless it's purchased by Parksville or the Nature's Trust and the wildlife corridor as it is. It needs to be, something has to be done for this property. So that's why I said what I said about the buffer for the river, protection of the river, and the people that need to live here can live here. So that's what I'm sharing, more of my feelings and thoughts and what's happening for our future, for our town, because we have a beautiful place to live and we want to protect it. So thank you very much. And I appreciate your words too, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Councillor Grant.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Sure, I'll take another crack.
Have a drink.
Yeah, have a drink. So we do need housing. I will note, though, that perhaps nobody in this room does. And when I talk to my children, they ask me on a very regular basis how it's possible for them to ever afford to live here. So yes, we all have housing in this room. My children have housing right now, but when they want to set out and make their own way in the world, they will need to have affordable housing. And we therefore have a task before us to provide more housing. Housing is one of the few things that it runs on supply and demand in our society that has a number of individual entities called councils that can control whether or not they make it to the market. The same thing doesn't happen with cars or with a number of other commodities. It's just with housing. And so we have a responsibility to make sure that we plan our community in a balanced way that allows for people from all walks of life to be able to afford housing here. So we have a balanced community with workers, young families, senior citizens, and everywhere in between. So as we move forward in this term, I am not opposed to development per se. We need development in the right place for the right people and with the right partners. And so nothing against the partner on this one. District Group did an excellent job, as I mentioned, and a number of us have mentioned here. I hope that they come back to the table with some other projects. Because my final point is that at council, we don't decide what property gets developed. We have limited control over which parcels of land the developer, the owner, decides they want to do something on that land. We can't do much about that. I'm looking forward to finding ways that we can maybe encourage development in the areas that we want to see it. We're going to see through the OCP process in the coming years, hopefully, that'll help direct that. But we can't tell someone to do something with their land. we can only tell them they can't if they come to us for an amendment.
Any more? I'll just comment to Councillor Beal. You mentioned about we need more affordable housing. Affordable and low income housing and subsidized rental housing. And I guess I kind of glazed over that when I said it was going to be a mix of balanced housing, because that's what I'm all about, is a balance. We need a balanced housing in any neighborhood, makes for a better community. This particular project, the low income housing providers that we have been working with in the past had already expressed an interest to be part of this project with low income housing that they would participate in. So there would be a large mix of low income subsidized rental housing, as well as a lower income purchase housing as well. Just to let you know that they had expressed an interest. So it was including affordable housing as well, not just, thank you.
Thank you for that. And perhaps just to clarify, I guess mostly what I meant is that we need to get to a point where people don't have to pay more than 30% of their income. And I'm not even suggesting that, that a particular housing would only have to be low income, but 30%, whereas what's defined as affordable housing right now is 30% of the mean or median income for the whole community, which is often higher than the reality for people who are making less money. But it doesn't have to be just one type or another. But we have seen a fair bit of development in recent years. And we have some that's coming on stream right now soon. The Bolinas Housing Project would allow for that 30% of actual income rather than some hypothetical income. And there may be something else in the works. And I'd certainly like to encourage that so that we do get a more balance. And as someone else, I think yourself mentioned more of that middle range. So we have condos or apartments, we have single family, we have very few townhomes, we have very few duplexes, which again might but that's not really the discussion here today. It's all about whether or not we approve a rezoning application. Right now, this property is A1 agricultural, which means that there is a potential for agricultural work, if you like, going on there, or I gather it would allow for some single family homes if we do not approve the change to complex. What is it? Complex? No, complete. Yeah. Thank you. But anyway, thank you for the comment. I wanted to clarify what I meant by the housing as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Gore.
Thank you, Mayor. This will be my last comment. Thank you. I just want to share an anecdote with the council and the public. I wasn't that long ago that I was sitting on those chairs, and now you put me here to make some decisions for you. I appreciate your support. I was quite engaged in city affairs, and I was with the previous council. I was sending emails and trying to get information what was happening. So Councillor Frass at the time got back to me and met with him in 2018. And he mentioned that you seemed very passionate about things happening in the city. Why don't you take on the responsibility and try to do something? So he meant that I should run for council. So that kind of sowed the seed in my mind that it's even a possibility to be a councillor. I had no intention of being a politician or sitting here and making those decisions. So I want to take this opportunity here of this forum to thank Councillor Frass for encouraging me to run for council and make these important decisions for our city and for the people who have put so much trust in me. Thank you.
They pay big ticket prices. We got to give them value. Let's see. Any other comments? Go ahead.
Just a
Councilor Bill.
technical question, if I may.
Yes.
If when it comes time to the vote, is it going together as one or one part? Well, actually, if one part, then not the other, or just so I know what I'm voting for. Thank you.
It is so much, let's do it properly. Let's vote on each one. Okay, if that works for you, I think it would be appropriate because there's
I believe the motion's on the floor already, is it?
Sorry, CL Kaler, if you can confirm. Okay, right, we have, let's, yeah. I think it's safe either way, Councillor Bill. Yeah. Hearing no further questions. All those in favor of the recommendation that Plan Parksville Amendment Bylaw 2022 number 1492.6 and Zoning and Development Amendment Bylaw 2022 number 20000138 be read a third time. All those in favor? Was that you had your hand up? Sylvia Martin, Councillor Martin? No, you were waving to me. Okay. Hi. Calling the vote. All those in favor? That would be Mayor O'Brien. All those opposed? That would be everyone else. Thank you, Council. Good discussion. Moving on to.
A quick point, if I may, Mr. Mayor. I just
Sorry.
want to thank you for allowing such a fulsome discussion on this topic and for facilitating the council just generally in allowing us to fully explore these important issues in a very respectful manner. So I want to appreciate you for that.
Thank you, and I appreciation to all of the council members for the respectful dialogue, and for most of the audience members for being respectful as well. Thank you for that. Moving forward, point 6 on the agenda today is a notice of motion. Councillor Beal, could you please give us a background on the issue regarding meeting with BC Housing? A notice of the motion was provided March 6th as an amended version of the motion, which was added to the agenda on March 17th. You want us to move it first? Yeah. Do you want us to move it and then have discussion on that, or yeah, that would be the easiest way. Okay. The notice of motion as presented by Councillor Beal is the not a notice of motion. It is the motion is that council invite BC Housing representatives to meet in person as soon as possible to discuss avenues for collaborating on a variety of housing initiatives, including, hello out there, we can hear you. Please take it outside, please. Thank you. I apologize, Councillor Beal. I'll start again. The recommendation being the council invite BC Housing representatives to meet in person as soon as possible to discuss avenues for collaborating on a variety of housing initiatives, including below market housing, affordable housing, housing for seniors, supportive housing, and extreme weather response and related BC Housing subsidy programs such as SAFER. Do I have a mover? And well, we have a mover as Councillor Beal, and we have a seconder is Councillor Martin. Any discussion? Councillor Beal.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Reading glasses first. Okay. Wrong page. Thank you. At our last council meeting, I gave a notice of motion regarding the VIP motel, which included a request to extend the term of compliance order pending support from BC Housing. Very soon after, I did read a written statement from BC Housing indicating that they do not wish to extend the agreement. Without their support, there's no point in me bringing forth my original motion. And I know that this will come as a disappointment to many, and I'm concerned that this will not reduce the number of unhoused individuals in our community. When I was going door-to-door campaigning, regardless of their perspective and their opinion, no one said that they would like to see more homeless people in our community. My motion as it now stands is to invite BC Housing to come to speak to our council. We are a new council and would benefit greatly from an opportunity to learn more about the continuum of housing and the role that BC Housing can play in helping us and working with us to understand and address the needs. And I hope that you will support this motion.
Thank you. Councillor Martin, you have next at the microphone if you wish to, any comments? You don't have to if you
Well, I wholeheartedly support this. And Mary, Councillor Beal, you've done amazing work on this. With your background and experience, you know how to network and make it happen. And I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. Support this.
Councillor Wood.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Beal, for bringing this forward. You know, housing obviously has been a big issue, even in the previous file that we were dealing with. It was a big issue during the campaign to be elected. It's a big issue across Canada. I personally haven't spoken with BC Housing or had any communication with BC Housing since I've been a councillor, and I look forward to welcoming them here and having that discussion with BC Housing. From my understanding, BC Housing is the one that usually writes the checks for subsidized housing, non-market housing, and that discussion needs to happen. So thank you, Councillor Beal, for bringing this forward.
Councillor Fraz. Councillor Fraz, did you have your hand up? Yes, Councillor Fraz, you're on.
Thank you. I'm just turning a little bit and the usefulness of it of wanting to meet with B special.
Councillor Fraz,
Doesn't do what the other thing.
Councillor Fraz, if I could ask you to, you're breaking up severely here. If you could start again, your audio started working, but it's really broken up. So if you could start what your comments were again, please.
Know if it
Does it work?
and
Councillor Fraz, I understand it's been recommended
And-
if you turn.
I want to say I appreciate.
If you turn off your video, I understand that sometimes your audio quality will improve.
Yeah, can you hear me any better there? It's the
Yeah.
video's turned off here now.
Yes, go ahead. Start again, Adam. Councillor
so-
Fraz.
Yeah, I wanted to say thanks for, I appreciate the intent of this motion and the usefulness of it, of being able to meet with BC Housing, especially considering it as an alternative motion to what was presented before about the VIP. But I want to suggest that I think this is perhaps a little bit premature to be meeting with BC Housing to discuss collaboration when we don't have any of our community partners on board, being the town of Qualicum Beach or the regional district. We've spoken lots about having regional partners for this issue, but yet we don't have any, we haven't had those conversations yet. And I think we should be meeting with other community members and partners before we go to BC Housing and start creating a plan of how we're going to bring this type of housing together. What I think we need to be doing is forming a memorandum of understanding with those community partners so that when we go into these complex issues ahead of, if we were to cover Parksville coming at the table, we can identify only a spacing and so on. But at this point, I know the idea of let's get something done, and BC Housing seems like the obvious, group that we need to have a conversation with, but I don't think it's the starting point of where we should be right now. And so, I'm not going to support this motion for that reason, because I think that we need to go to our community partners and have us come together first before we go to them. That's my thought.
Thank you, Councillor Fraz. We heard most of it. We'll just kind of fill in the blanks. I think we got the gist of it. Any councillor need clarification? You okay? Thank you, Councillor Fraz. Next to speak, more hands up. Councillor Grens.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through to the mover. I understand that this motion is an alternative to the previous motion that was given as a notice of motion at the last council meeting. That particular notice of motion did have an urgency around it due to the March 31st deadline for the VIP. This particular motion, to my mind, has much less urgency to it. So therefore, my question would be, the motion says to discuss avenues for collaborating on a variety of housing initiatives. The question is, are we to come to them with an ask, or where it feels like in the scheme of things, if we have something to bring to them, then we should meet with them. And that would come through some of the things that Councillor Frass has spoken about.
I'll let Councillor Beal address that issue in case she wants to amend the motion. There you go.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and through to Councillor Grend and others. I see this as an opportunity to learn from BC Housing as to exactly, maybe not exactly, but the kinds of things that the kinds of projects that they are involved with, what they can provide, what they can offer, perhaps give examples of where they have worked with other municipalities on various options. I don't think that, some of this could sound a little bit like the chicken and the egg. You need the chicken to get the egg, but you're going to need the egg to get the chicken. So I don't really see that having BC Housing come to us, if they are in fact willing, and from discussions that I did have with our CAO, it sounded like that was something that they would be very interested in doing, but to find out what kinds of services, projects, and programs they can provide. Again, what they have already done with other people, what possibilities might be out there. So the word collaboration is meant there more in the spirit of wanting to work together to address the needs. And this is not simply focused on one type of housing. In fact, in a conversation that I had with a couple of other people, if we can provide or work with other partners to provide increased below market housing, that in fact can relieve a lot of pressure for people so that people don't end up on the street, or that perhaps people who are presently in supportive housing or other types of housing can move into different housing and in fact free up spaces. So no matter where we work on the housing needs, there is a benefit to others who are also, I think, in need of housing and to our community. So it's to find out what is available, find out in which areas we might want to be working with them, to look more closely at the work that's already been done. I believe the RDN has done some housing needs assessment, and it certainly doesn't preclude working together with the town of Qualicum Beach or others on something. But again, it's like a chicken and egg. I don't see any harm. But is there some urgency? I still think there is, because anything that we do going forward is definitely going to take some time and thoughtful thought. But we need to know what is available. And I think to understand a little more further what particular programs are available, even the SAFER program. And I know that Mr. Russell came and spoke to us about some things, and a couple of things he had trouble finding the answers to. So if we could actually have a meeting with some representatives from BC Housing, I think it would be great. It'd be a great chance to meet them, have a sort of a relationship, and get some answers to questions that we might not even know that we have. So it does not go against, I think, what Councillor Frass is saying, but it's a starting point.
If I can just comment on that, I do not have a problem with having a meeting with BC Housing. The only stickler point to me is discuss avenues for collaborating. I would suggest if we could discuss avenues for collaborating on a regional basis with the Oceanside community, whether we have to identify RDN members or as Oceanside, but I think it would be prudent to make sure that we include any discussions on a wholesome level, since Oceanside is viewed as a wholesome solution, that all the other members of the Oceanside areas would be at that meeting. That way they can discuss such things as their participation that they may be able to offer, because as Councillor Frass has pointed out, this is certainly a regional issue and not just a city of Parksville issue. Councillor Gore.
Thank you, Mayor. So perhaps through you to the council, and would you be willing to amend the motion to include on a regional level on a variety of housing initiatives? So if
Yes, that would be fine. Understanding that I don't, absolutely, there's no problem with having the wording in there. Whether or not that means that we have to bring together everybody all at the very same time, I don't know. Earlier, I was hearing from the mayor, for instance, that regard specifically to Parksville, that we had certain needs for housing. So it seems that it is also possible to look at this from a city perspective. But as to whether or not there are other avenues that we can, there's no harm in having the word regional. I just wouldn't want to slow down the whole process of setting up something, because I think it would be helpful to hear from them sooner rather than later. So it would include, let's see. So if I would like to make an amendment then to the motion, that after the word collaborating, on a regional basis, and then on a variety of housing. That would be my suggested amendment.
CAO Kaler.
Thank you. Hopefully this is working. If not, I
Yes.
can move. Just for staff, in order to get direction on this one, because we don't control obviously the other regional agencies, would we be inviting BC Housing and those regional agencies? Or I'm just not clear on what staff would be following up on if this motion passes.
I was not necessarily suggesting that, just as I thought that might be a little more complicated, but hoping rather that BC Housing could come with that regional view in mind. And if people see a problem with that, please let me know. But at the same time, I don't want to overcomplicate this request. The word collaboration was really meant to signal that, that we're open to learning what may be possible. What are some areas that would help us when we think about addressing needs for housing in Parksville?
Yes, and to that end, I would think that it would be worthwhile to include the other areas as well, because if we want to provide housing for this population that we're addressing, and not just the homelessness, but all the other issues that you've listed as well here, that population or that tenancy are rather transient and move easily from Qualicum to Parksville to area E, F, and G. So those individuals should also be at the table, only for the fact that they may have land available, maybe in outlying districts and so forth, that we, there's no sense with us commenting with BC Housing just on City of Parksville possibility, because there may be someone with a better solution within our region.
Follow up. One concern I have is that, for instance, the town of Qualicum may or may not have housing as one of their first priorities, and might not be something that they want to look at. I am a little puzzled, though, by the comment that this would be of a transient nature. For instance, I spoke with a firefighter just the other day who was really hopeful that he would be able to get into some below market housing, because what is considered affordable was too high for him. And I would hope then, he's really hopeful that he will get into, for instance, the project that's going to be coming forth in May with the Bolinas Housing Society. Yep. And I wouldn't think that firefighters are a transient group, and that while they're here that they would be settled. So looking at affordable housing, I don't know if when we build affordable housing, we are concerned that people might be transient. Housing for seniors, it's the whole range. It's to understand that full continuum of housing, how that fits into a community, how it impacts other types of housing, as well as learning more so that we can understand programs such as the SAFER program, which is for seniors. So I'm just a little bit puzzled by that because I am talking about inviting them to come to discuss the variety of housing initiatives and the whole, I guess the word continuum isn't in there, but that certainly was my intention. So I'm a little puzzled by that.
Yeah, and thank you, Councillor Beal. And I was referring to your referencing to the supportive housing and extreme weather response housing as well, which is quite transient in nature anyways, from especially with the extreme weather responses that we've had, and even with the people look at it's just a comment that I think that we all share in this issue collectively, the Oceanside region. And I think we should all work together collectively to share that initiative to cure some of these social housing issues.
Thank you, Mayor. I support this motion because we all, when we were running for the seats here, like we were all saying that we want to build this relationship back with BC Housing. And I think this is a good initiative saying, hey, we welcome you to the forum. Tell us what your initiatives are, what you think you can do in Oceanside, not just Parksville. So you're right. I would like to see a regional approach to this, but educating us on, personally myself speaking, like I don't know what BC Housing's initiatives all are, what they envision for Oceanside. So I want to welcome them, bring that information to the council table for us. Perhaps at that same time, we can ask them to look for lands or possibilities in Qualicum or the RDN regions. So this, I think, is a good opportunity for us to have this dialogue and discussion with BC Housing.
Thank you. Councillor Beal, okay, so CAO Kaler.
Sorry, thank you, Mr. Mayor. If I may perhaps make a suggestion that if the motion were to be voted on as written, that could be kind of step one of the fact finding. You know, some councillors are new, obviously, and have not benefited from the overview that BC Housing can often provide. And then I think this introductory meeting wouldn't really be talking about land or specifics, but it would really be kind of a higher level overview of the programs. That's from talking with Councillor Beal, kind of what she expressed to me. And I think there could be a next step or many next steps that would include the regional partners. So that's just sort of my understanding of if this motion were to pass, that's what we would be working with.
I understand the simplicity of that would make it easy. My only problem is the words collaborating.
Perhaps the word.
Yes. So, sorry, I'm just saying if collaborating was removed and it was just a fact-finding mission for information, I would be happier with that. And then after we have that fact-finding information done, then we can discuss about collaboration with the other regional districts at the same time. Would be requesting, the BC Housing meet with them as well separately to make it ease of handling. I think this is just a time of learning what BC Housing has to offer. So I think a meeting like that, if you remove the word collaborating, I would be satisfied.
Yes, I'm fine. Originally, when I discussed this with others, the word collaborating wasn't there. I guess it was more of a signal that we want to work with them. I'm just thinking about how to reword this and to remove the word collaborating, but it needs more than that, or else the sentence doesn't quite make sense. So, so never mind a regional basis, to meet in person as soon as possible. Perhaps to learn about a variety of housing initiatives. Would that work, and going through to our CAO?
If I may, through you, Mr. Mayor, yes, I think that would essentially just taking after possible to say, so meet as soon as possible to discuss a variety of housing initiatives, and just cut those out. That basically doesn't commit to anything. It's really just that fact-finding piece. And we have Councillor Martin as the seconder. So if Councillor Martin agrees to that change in wording.
I'd like to make a comment here. This idea of regional seems to me that they would learn too. I don't know. From my perspective, I've been trying to get the regional outlook together because it is Parksville, I agree, and we're taking the initiative. But don't you think that they would want to know what BC Housing will do for us? Why wouldn't we all just do it together and do it as fast as possible? And then we'll get it done. That's how I look at it. But anyway, that's just my outlook. We all have our opinions. Thank you,
Councillor Bill.
Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. And thank you, Councillor Martin, for your thoughts. And I love your big perspective, and we're all a big happy family, and that's great. I do think that for efficiency, it might be easier though, both for BC Housing and for our staff to organize something where they do meet with us. For all we know, they have already done something like that in the town of Qualicum. And again, that time and effort that goes back and forth with, but I do agree that I'd always saw this as a first step, just so that we can learn. And then when we understand more, both for our needs and the larger context, and that might be then a second, a follow-up step. And in the meantime, we could learn just on our own what they're also looking at. So that would be my hope, that this would be a first step to actually meet and go from there.
Yeah.
Mayor, we just want to,
Follow on.
with the step.
Councillor Martin.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. We don't want to prolong this. I've found in my experience in life, we have this, everything gets pushed ahead and it takes so long. And I agree with Councillor Beal with her wanting to do this reasonably quickly. And if we can include the others, if they want to come along with us, that's great, but we need to do something. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you.
Councillor Fraz, did you comment?
No, I think I already said what I need to say there. I still maintain that I think regional partnership and view of formal is he needs housing options. They have they're all listed in this motion, even as it is right now, and they've already heard.
Councillor Fraz, I'm going to suggest you turn off
I
your
still
video.
maintain my stance on it.
Okay, thank you. I got that. Okay, thanks. Councillor Beal.
Hello again. I'll stop soon, I hope. I wonder if it would it make sense, and again, I'm going to look through Councillor Wood's head over towards our CAO and ask if would it be helpful to add, and to extend an invitation to the council of the town of Qualicum Beach to take part. I wonder, and again, looking through to our CAO, would that help some of the concerns, alleviate concerns expressed here?
To me, I think that's kind of bulky, that to do it if you want the expediency here, but CAO Kaler.
If I may, through the mayor, I think that in the past, when there's issues of common interest, the mayor can reach out to the mayor of the neighboring communities and just let them know that we're receiving a presentation. I assume this would be in an open council. It has been in the past where it's really just a program overview. I don't see any issue with just advising the mayor of our neighboring communities or the chair, if it be the RDN, and then they can attend our council meeting and hear the information at the same time. I don't see any issue with that.
I think we could just do that as a courtesy, Mary. Yeah. I think yes. Okay. Are you good? Yeah, I know. No, okay, that's fine. I think, yeah, the invitation would be expressed either way, Councillor Beal. Yes.
So now my question is, since there has been an amendment going back to our CAO, if Councillor Martin is in agreement, can we just move to that, or should we vote on the amendment to strike that? Those words.
Yeah, and if CAO Kaler can read that amended motion as such.
Sure, thank you. Can everyone hear me? Or should I
Yes.
move? Okay. So yes, because it's basically a minor amendment, you don't need to vote on it. It's kind of a friendly change. So the motion right now is that council invite BC Housing representatives to meet in person as soon as possible to learn about a variety of housing initiatives, including, and then all the same ones we had. There was no change there. And I know you did discuss about regional, but I did not add that in.
We'll leave that up. That's good. Does that meet your intent? Yes. Councillor Martin, are you good with that? As I'll call the question.
Yes.
All those in favor? Opposed? Okay, that's fine.
It's not hearing. So
No, he
not
just,
working.
he just no voted, so it's an affirmative. It reads affirmative. Is he opposed again?
I'm voting opposed there.
Thank you, Councillor
I'm
Perez.
voting opposed there, please. Voting opposed there, please.
All the rest of council has voted affirmative. Councillor Fraz has voted opposed. Thank you. Councillor Wood, could you please give us a background on the issue regarding addiction and mental health crisis? This motion has been provided on the agenda in lieu of notice, so council may vote on it at the March 20th meeting. You want us to read it out? How about you read? Okay.
Just a quick point of order here. I think
Yes.
March 20th regular meeting should be changed to whenever the next meeting is, April 3rd, I believe, or April.
Yes.
Gonna-
we're-
Sorry, so in this situation, because Councillor Wood added the notice of motion prior to the publication of the agenda, that is considered notice. So that this could be voted on today if council wishes.
Right, yeah. So we'll take it all the way, and I think what I'll do is I'll let Council Wood read out his motion.
Thank you, Mayor. Recommendation that the current policies on mental health and addiction and the lack of proper funding to address these issues are impacting communities and municipal governments at an unacceptable level. And therefore, the City of Parksville Council requests that the Government of Canada engages in an immediate process of justice reform to create a comprehensive alternate system like the Portugal model, where people with addiction and mental health challenges who break laws are steered through a court system with fully funded and functional treatment facilities, rehabilitation, and community service programs. The provincial government immediately fund the detox and treatment beds needed to assist people with addiction and mental health challenges, and that the federal and provincial governments provide the investments needed to address the homelessness crisis, which in turn has been feeding into and contributing to the mental health and addiction crisis. So that's the recommendation, Mayor, if I can provide a little bit of backstory.
That is your motion. What I'll do is we'll have that seconded, and then we'll open for discussion. Seconded by Councillor Gore. Open for discussion, yours.
Thank you. We even spoke to these issues today on a variety of different files. Being elected to city council, we immediately found ourselves in the midst of winter, that comes every year. But people were finding themselves on the streets. They're dealing with mental health issues, addiction disorder, and a variety of other reasons why they are on our streets. No one wants to see them on the streets. And we as council have a limited amount of budget, limited staff, a limited capability to deal with these issues. And we find ourselves on the front lines of all of these things. And it is not in our lane, most of it, to deal with. And yet we are the ones who want to see it solved. We hear complaints from people. We don't want to see people suffering. We see people going through trauma. There's a variety of reasons why we need provincial and federal help as much and as soon as possible. It's very easy to be, in Ottawa or down in Victoria when you are not walking around our streets and seeing the effects of what we have going on. So the idea behind this is to have staff. We'll put together a letter. It'll go to the Government of Canada as well as the provincial government. And it is simply strongly worded letter to say, hey, we don't want to go outside of our lane. We find ourselves on the front lines of these issues, and we desperately need more help than we're getting right now. All we see is Band-Aids. And that's the idea behind the the motion today. Thank you.
Councillor Gore, you have the right for a second.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I seconded it. I'm supporting this motion. All those problems that Councillor Wood just mentioned happening on our streets and also affecting the downtown businesses, as we heard, it's all affecting our community, our businesses, our people. They don't feel safe taking certain roads and sidewalks. So I think it needs to be addressed soon. I do wonder, and perhaps Councillor Wood can speak to this, is what is the outcome that you're looking for with this letter? Like, do you have a timeline or do we follow up? Like, what do you think? How are there other avenues we can look at other than just a letter to engage with the province and the feds?
Councillor Wood.
Thank you, Mayor. Councillor Gore, that's a great question. I think this is just one tool in the toolbox of us raising our voices. We can go through ABICC, we can go through FCM, we can go through UBCM, we can go through a variety of ways, but the more ways that, in my opinion, the more ways that both senior levels of government hear from us, officially, unofficially, whatever we can do, it puts it on their radar. And I think hopefully they deal with it in a more speedy manner, the variety of ways. This is not mutually exclusive to any other ways that we can, provide some urgency for senior levels of government. And if there are any other tools in the toolbox, I definitely welcome them. This is not definitely the one way to do it. This is just one way. Thank you.
Yeah, speaking to this, I think I understand you're just want to use that pointy stick and have some action, and I get that. I'm not comfortable with signing on is from the city of Parksville, so much because, as we talk about participation by our citizens, I am not confident, as we are representing the citizens of Parksville, I'm not confident that, let's say, the majority is comfortable with this as such. I believe that, I personally, I'm not in favor of the Portugal system. You mentioned it specifically. I'm not in favor. I have people that live in Portugal that are friends of mine, and I think I know some challenges that they met with what they've done. So me personally, I wouldn't sign on to this anyways, because I think it's a step in the right direction, but that's my personal decision. So I think if I wanted to make an effort to contact the local MLAs or MPs and so forth, it would be from a personal basis. Which I would suggest that maybe if this is how you feel, that's how you could as well, instead of from the city of Parksville, and or consider bringing up as an ABICC resolution or UBC resolution, where you're going to have a much broader context of people at the table advising the properness of that process, from the municipal level, whether that's the right venue or whether it could be done in a more effective way. That's all I'm saying. So I can't support it as it is such, because it's coming from the city of Parksville. I understand your passion for it, and I appreciate that. But at the same time, speaking for the city of Parksville, I won't support this as such. And that's the reason why. Not that I don't agree with most of it, but personally, as representing Parksville, I don't think it's appropriate at this time. That's the only reason. Any more discussion? Councillor Martin.
Well, this motion really deals with what we talk to people at the door. I mean, I got into discussions with people about mental illness at the door when I was at the door, because they were talking about, why can't you do something? Please do something. A lot of people talk like that, Mr. Mayor. So I would have to support this. I've been in meetings where I've heard about the Portugal system, and Councillor Wood did not talk about that being the only answer. So maybe that particular word could come out of this, make it more a variety of possibilities, because this is not just, we know it's provincial, federal, and it's municipal. We have a trickle-down effect right here in our backyard, and it's happening, and we see it. So we have to do something meaningful and purposeful to try and help our citizens here. And if it's out there at the ABICC or UBCM, I mean, we would be leaders. I mean, I've heard them from the provincial level talking about this. We got to do something, you know, this is me as a citizen, but also as a municipality. Couldn't we be in the forefront to not say, oh, bring all the people here, we're going to have all the solutions, but have some dialogue about this. It's not under the carpet. It's a real life. So that's my concern. Thank you very much. And I appreciate your opinion. We all have a right to that. Thank you.
Councillor Grins.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and through you to Councillor Wood, thank you for bringing this motion forward and bringing this issue to the forefront. My preference would be to forward this motion to staff to have it workshopped into a format that would be a structure and format that would be more actionable. Right now, the motion says nothing about a letter. It begins with the current policies, which seems to me is more of a whereas. That's a background, like it doesn't give that really, actually doesn't say that staff be directed to send a letter or anything like, it doesn't indicate what should happen out of this. It just kind of states the problem, which is obviously a significant problem. I would raise the flag that I don't believe that this issue is not on the radar of the provincial and federal government. So there's little we can do to bring it more on their radar from sending a letter from the city of Parksville. What we could do within the purview of the city of Parksville is to provide some perhaps ways in which the senior levels of government can support initiatives we would like to take in our own community if we were able to bring some concrete suggestions forward, whether it's that we've purchased land or whatever, something that's concrete. And maybe Councillor Beal's motion around getting information from BC Housing would lead us down that path to what are some potential opportunities that we have here in the city of Parksville. I also disagree with some of the assumptions and dictated outcomes in the motion. The government of Canada currently is engaging in a process of justice reform. So for us to call upon them to do something they're already doing is without any specific sort of suggestions on what that should include. I'm not sure we'll get any particular outcome. And the provincial government has also announced increased funding for the very things being called for here. And finally, I'm not sure that we fully understand the dynamic between not having a home and addiction and mental health. It's a very complex relationship. And so I wouldn't presume to say that homelessness causes addiction or the other way around. I don't know what the science is on that, but it's certainly housing is a piece of the puzzle, just as addiction treatment is a piece of the puzzle, mental health treatment is a piece of the puzzle. But it's hard to say that one is necessarily the creator of the other. And the motion as it's currently written seems to come down on one side on that. So for those reasons, I would suggest that we forward this to staff, that we consider a motion along these lines as part of a greater picture with our strategic planning. One of our strategic planning items speaks to this, one of our priorities. And so if we give it a little bit more time to workshop the motion so that it can be more effective as possible. Thank you again, though.
Maybe I could suggest that maybe you just perhaps remove this motion at this time. And as per the strategic workshop that we had, advocacy was one of the items identified as, and then would give you enough time to maybe workshop a more specific motion at that time. Would that be acceptable to you rather than just what CEO Kaler's waving to us?
Thank you.
So,
If I may,
yes.
probably an easier, because it has been moved and seconded, we could have a vote on deferring this, and that would give Councillor Wood the opportunity to meet with staff or meet with other members of council or meet with the federal reps or whoever he wishes to sort of change it up. But that way it's a more clean kind of decision. You don't have to withdraw, but we could just defer it. You don't have to say when until, like you can just defer it indefinitely until you're ready to bring it back. And that does require a vote, but no debate if council wishes to pursue that.
I'm definitely amiable to that.
You're agreeable to that, Councillor? I would like to propose that we defer this at this moment, at this time, until a later date. All those in favor? Unanimous? Thank you. Good discussion.
I believe I've deferred my lunch.
What's that? Lunch. Your comfort break is coming out. Hold on, hold on. We're almost there. One second here. Sorry. You have a notice of motion, Councillor Gore. You didn't present it though here. You didn't prevent it. You want to present a notice of motion for the next council meeting. Yes, go ahead, Councillor Gore.
Thank you, Mayor. So my notice of motion is directing staff, we're looking at options allowing temporary use permits in additional zones.
In which zones? Sorry.
Additional zones.
Additional zones. Temporary use permits in additional zones. So noted. Was that clear, CAO Kaler? Did you get that okay? Yeah.
Sorry, if I may, Mr. Mayor, we'll work with Councillor Gore to put the words together for the next agenda.
Is that okay with you? Okay. Thank you. Moving on to liaison reports. In the interest of efficiency, I would ask the council members keep their updates concise. Are there any updates from the RDN? Councillor Wood. Yes.
Thank you, Mayor. This is just with regards to the Nanaimo Regional Hospital District Board, which you and I are on. Typically, there's a select board that works underneath of that board for advocacy for hospital projects moving forward. And at this time, the regular board has said that everyone on the board can be advocates for what we're trying to do. And the main goal going on is patient tower, cancer and cardiac care in Nanaimo, new hospital. The price is somewhere around $1.8 billion, and our advocacy will be going out to MLAs to try to really put it on the radar of the Minister of Health, Adrian Dix, and the provincial government that everywhere north of the Malahat needs the services that south of the Malahat has already. I personally have a neighbor who she went through cancer treatment, and she had to drive down to Victoria 3 weeks in a row for 20 minute session with chemo down there. And it would have been a lot easier and for her to go to Nanaimo, obviously, for those 3 weeks for a 20-minute session. And that's just one anecdotal report, but we need those services that Victoria has north of the Malahat. And so that's what the hospital district board is going to be striving for. And we have to save up 40% of that $1.8 billion. If we can show the province that we have 40% of that from taxes collected, then the province knows we're serious. And then the idea is that the province will then contribute the rest, and then we'll get that started. It's a long way down the road, but I feel that the hospital district board is taking it very seriously, and we're going to do our very best. So I just wanted to provide a report to Parksville that that's what's going on. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Councillor Wood. And what may have been spoken rather quickly is the fact that the RDN would hope that we all, as council members, become advocates. To that end, they've created their own song sheet regarding the hospital projects that are so forth. And I would ask that Councillor Wood send that to all council members. It's just been released, the official report, so that we can be effective and we're all speaking the same tune to advocate at every possible moment. And if you could also send a copy of that report to staff as well. Thank you, Councillor Wood. It's a very worthwhile project, but all of us have to work with our local authorities at every opportunity we get. So that's the only way we're going to get some action from the government. So we really appreciate your help and consideration on this. Thank you, Councillor Wood. Councillor Beal, would you like to provide your liaison reports?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, first of all, the Chamber of Commerce, and I see that the executive director is in the audience, so hopefully I won't miss any of the highlights. In my role, I did inform the Chamber of our budget meetings, which are coming up and ongoing. And they are some highlights from the Chamber meeting. They are in the process of succession planning, both for the board members and also for the executive director. So, you know, an interesting time, of course, as they work through all of that. They are encouraged by an uptick in memberships, but it's still not fully rebounded since the pandemic. So, you know, that continues to play a heavy role on our business community and the Chamber. The Prep Cook training program is going ahead with support from NIC, that's North Island College. So that's an exciting venture. Not full, as in, you know, they'd hope to have even more sign up for this, but nonetheless, it is going ahead, and that will assist both the individuals taking that program, but also some of our local restaurants in the hospitality industry. Also, looking further ahead, June 15th is the date for their awards, Chamber Awards, and I brought up the question, thank you, Councillor Gore, prodded me a little bit there, if there would be a Citizen of the Year award. And I understand that that's a possibility, and that would come then from the city if we choose to do that. So there's a bit of a price tag with that in the past has come from our contingency fund, and we don't need to make a decision on that right now. Switching, if I may just go ahead to ELCO, which stands for the Early Learning Childcare Oceanside group. And I attended a meeting of that group as well. There was an interesting presentation by the executive director of SPARC BC, which is SPARC BC. So you can look that up if you wish. And it supports research and evaluation into BC's community social services sector. So they have a social planner and so on, and they can provide some services for this coalition of childcare advocates. So that's an interesting resource for the group. I'll also mention that Leanne Salter, a nearby director with the RDN in Area F, has worked on a motion that was circulated that will be going to the RDN and hopefully on to the UBCM regarding some of the application, the work that people have to go through to apply for funding. And this is working towards a $10 a day daycare, which childcare, which we don't have yet. The ongoing area of concern and focus is the attraction and retention of qualified staff. And I think we hear that in many areas, but it's certainly a critical one for childcare. And also Into the Woods is a new childcare facility that's opening in Qualicum Beach. They just had a tour there and it will be opening coming up. So those are the highlights from those meetings. Thank you.
Did you have ADP?
Pardon me. Yes, I'd put the ADP, that's the advisory design panel, but that meeting was canceled. There will be a meeting coming up in the next month.
Thank you, Councillor Beal. Were there any other liaison reports that weren't reported previous to the meeting that you'd like to address now? Thank you. Is there any new business at this time? Not so much. Thank you. And so special business, do I have a mover and seconder for the recommendation that pursuant to section 91-A, E, and I of the community charter, council proceed to a closed meeting to consider items relating to personal information about an identifiable individual who holds or is being considered for a position as an officer, employee, or agent of the municipality, to the acquisition, disposition, or expropriation of land or improvements, and to the receipt of advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege. I have a mover for that recommendation. Councillor Gore, seconded by Councillor Martin. All those in favor? Aye. say yes. We are adjourned.